Hello, everyone, and welcome to your first breakout session of the day. This session is Roadmap to Implementing High-Quality Mathematics Instruction. You have two presenters. Maggie Doyle is a mathematics consultant with the Kentucky Department of Education and former secondary math teacher. Doyle is passionate about the power of connection in education, not only connections among mathematical content and practices, but also the need for connection among educators, students, families, and the broader school community. Co-presenting with Maggie is Erin Chavez. Erin is an academic program consultant with the Department of Education. She is currently serving in the role as an elementary mathematics consultant and coordinator for the Mathematics Achievement Fund Grant at the Kentucky Department of Education. She is a former elementary teacher and enjoys collaborating with educators across the state to help students succeed in mathematics. I think that's amazing. I'm going to let you guys take it from here. And if anyone has questions, feel free to.
Crystal, I don't want to, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I just got a message that says that this will close in 52 seconds. I just wanted to let you know that.
Yeah, I got the
Maybe
same
it's technical difficulty, but if we do close, please come back. I'm sure they're going to open us up again.
It's set on a timer, and I bet he didn't realize that. So I'm sure they'll fix it. It's probably something they're seeing on their screen right now too. So it may or may not actually kick us out, but just come right back.
Please.
Technology is amazing. We've got 30.
I'm trying to get there.
Why are so many people coming back to the main?
I think
like breakout rooms.
I think kicked out, Keith.
Yeah, it kicked me
I
out.
was
in a breakout room and it just kicked me back.
Here we go.
Out as well.
They
They were set on a timer.
Yeah, I was going to say it said that in 4 seconds you'd be kicked out. So it sounds like there was a timer set.
Okay. We'll try that again.
Still, I'm back. And do you think it's okay for us to get rolling, or do you want us to wait? You're muted, by the way.
It's doing the same thing again. Oh my goodness. I'm sorry. Let me pop back up and tell you this is happening.
It's okay. We can do our session like in 1 minute chunks. Like get started. Take advantage of these 60 seconds in chunks.
Hopefully it won't kick y'all out, but I'll be right back. Keith, it's kicking everyone out of the breakout rooms again.
Yeah, I think that one of the co-hosts might have messed up the session, the breakout rooms. So I need to reset them. So here in 15 seconds, they're all going to close again, and I'll reset them and send everybody back where you can choose your breakout room space.
Okay,
again.
thank you. I'll
I
let them.
apologize. All right. 12 breakout rooms. Let people choose options. They will close after.
Yeah, maybe put no time on it. Don't.
Yeah, there's not a time. Counter 30 seconds. All right. All right, everybody. I'm going to open all the rooms again, and we'll try this one more time. I apologize for the technical difficulties. So everyone should be able to now join your room again, the room that you want to go to for breakout session 1.
Crystal, you're muted if you're sharing with us.
Sorry, I was. I think it's corrected now. And we are back up to 25. So hopefully
Third time's a charm.
Yeah, so you all go ahead and take it away. And I'm sure more people are going to be rolling in as we get started here. It's already back up to 29. So
Okay, perfect. Well, again, thank you guys so much for being here again and again. We appreciate that you continue to come back to join us. And we, again, we just know that there are so many good sessions offered right now. And so we are so appreciative and grateful that you chose to spend this time with us talking about a roadmap to implementing high quality mathematics instruction. So this resource actually started back in 2020 when the National Council of Teachers of Mathematics, their president's newsletter had this question in it. And this question really resonated with Erin and I. And it was, how do we decide which roads to take through this world of mathematics? Because I think that you guys know that there are billions of things that teachers could spend their time in the classroom doing every day. And so really it's about being able to discern what we actually spend that time that we have in front of students on. And so we really view this as something that connects a lot of the resources that we have to support mathematics implementation. So it, if you notice on the maps, the logos in orange represent different resources on kystandards.org that we have to support the implementation of the Kentucky Academic Standards for Mathematics. So in the roadmap, we actually start by breaking down a standard. We look at the task that we're putting in front of students in the assignment review protocol, which is the magnifying glass. We talk about being really intentional about selecting an evidence-based instructional practice, which is the key logo on our webpage. And then we talk about expanding educator awareness of how to implement social and emotional competencies in an authentic way in the mathematics classroom, so that that's not something that lives in the 15-30 minutes in the morning and then we never revisit it again. Because we know that to engage students in mathematics, they need to have discussions about mathematics, and students need to have relationship skills to do that. So these things don't really live separately, they can really be embedded together. So we're actually going to start by getting some information from you all. And this is all going to be anonymous. So this is your place to put your innermost thoughts. And we're going to talk a little bit about the existing state versus the desired state. So existing state, we're going to ask you to focus on the present. So how would you describe math teaching and learning in your school? So what does mathematics look like in your school right now? And then for the desired state, we're going to ask you to focus on possibilities. So how would you describe your vision of an ideal math teaching and learning in your school? So we're actually going to do a Menti poll. And Erin is going to put that link in the chat for us. And first, we're going to give you about a minute to answer this first question and just add in some words. What does mathematics, how would you describe math teaching and learning in your school right now? And this is a place for you to be as honest as you would like and really share, what are you seeing when you talk or when you walk in classrooms? What are you hearing when you talk to students and teachers? And these are all really encouraging. So this is our existing state. What does mathematics look like now? And then in a moment, we're going to think about what we want it to look like. I'm saying boring, sit and get, weak, improving, but manipulatives, progressing, evidence-based. So thinking about how we're moving and what's really happening in our classrooms right now. And I see those responses coming in, so I'm still going to give us just a couple more seconds, and hopefully you're able to see these as they come in. It looks like our biggest phrase right now is sit and get. And so we have some encouraging things happening, standard driven, program driven. But then we also have some things that are concerning, isolated, shallow. So this is kind of our current existing state. So now we're going to shift gears. I'm going to go to the next slide and invite us to think, what is your vision? If you could say what your perfect mathematics classroom looked like, what would your vision for that be? And so we're going to invite you to share some of your responses. What would it look like in an ideal world? If you think about all the possibilities, what might that look like? Deep, engaging, cooperative, student-led. I'm seeing those come in the chat as well. Engaging, students engaged, students having conversations. Discourse on level, grade level. I'm seeing that quite a bit. Real world, seeing those connections. Productive struggle is up there. It's really light in blue, but it's up there. I'm not sure if you guys could see it. Student driven, student questions. Higher thinking, excitement from students. I'm a podcast listener. I always think now about that commercial that's on about, somebody who listens to podcasts. But one of the Hidden Brain episodes I listened to said that they did a study and they told people they were going to have to do a math problem, and the reaction in the brain was like getting the finger prick at the doctor's office. And so when we think about what we want our mathematics to be, none of us want that. None of us want our students to feel that finger prick at the doctor's office, for sure. So what we want to talk about is how we might change or move from our existing state to our desired state. And so our roadmap to implementing high quality mathematics instructions really seeks to do three things. We want to ground instruction in the cast of mathematics, because that's how we reaffirm our commitment to equitable learning opportunities for students. So when you guys said it's grade level, it's on grade level, our students are getting access and they're getting opportunities to learn. We want to support the integration of evidence-based instructional practice. And for us, we really are kind of focusing those around the 8 effective mathematics teaching practices. And then we want to expand educator familiarity with strategies to interweave the development of social emotional competencies within math content. So again, not something separate, ways that authentically fit in the mathematics classroom and are going to support our students as learners. So we're actually going to start with the jigsaw. And because we know that we have limited time together today. And so we're going to start with a jigsaw together. And so Erin has put a link to the roadmap overview in the chat for you. And so we want to take a few minutes to independently read. We're going to kind of summarize for yourselves. And our guiding question is, how might this impact teaching and learning in mathematics in your school? So what we're going to do is we're going to split this overview apart. And Erin is going to put those sections in the chat for us. If you are, we're splitting by the alphabet because I realized that we can't do breakout rooms in breakout rooms. We had a whole inception thing going on. So if your name, and I don't care whether you pick your first name or last name. So this is not that serious in terms of how we have to abide by that. But if your name starts with A through I, we're going to ask you to read section 1 on the overview, which each of these are about a page, maybe a little less, which is from pages 2 to 3. You'll see this indicator, this pin drop, just like you were looking at a map that says number 1 next to the section you're going to read. If your name starts with J through R, you're going to read section 2 on pages 4 and 5. And if your name starts with S through Z, we're going to read section 3 on pages 5 and 6. And we're going to invite you, and this is in the chat for you, to consider the key ideas from your section. What was affirming? What are you already thinking about that you saw reflected in that? What might you want to know more about? And what is your school or district currently doing that would be supported by this type of thinking? So we're going to give you about 5 minutes just to read that section of the overview. Again, our readings don't start until page 2, so we're reading just section 1, section 2, or section 3. And that breakdown is in the chat for you. So we're going to take 5 minutes just to independently read, because one of the things that we know for sure is that there are a lot of things out there that as principals, you may just not have had a chance to explore yet. So we just want to give you some protected time to just see what this roadmap is about. And then we'll have somebody share from each section so that we kind of get that learning from them. So we'll take about 5 minutes to read. And we'll take about another minute to discuss. And then again, we have those guiding questions that we're really excited to hear from you guys about. What might have been affirming about what you read? What might you want to know more about? And what is your school or district currently doing that would be supported by this type of thinking? And we'll come back together in about 30 seconds or so and invite some sharing. All right. So let's come back together if you don't mind. And we are excited to hear from you. So those of you who read section 1, you guys were looking at the section on of the roadmap that is about grounding instruction in the CAS for mathematics, so that we can ensure our students have equitable learning opportunities. So those of you who read section 1, we'd love to hear from you either in the chat, or we would absolutely love for you to be willing to come off mute and share maybe some of your takeaways about what resonated with you, what you might want to know more about, or how this really fits with what your school is already focused on. We'd love to hear from you.
So my curriculum coach has been doing this with you for the last, I think she started in the fall semester, Abby Thomas, and she is an English person at heart. So this has been very much out of her comfort zone, but she has enjoyed it. And so our teachers just started, they did Monday night. And so I think some of the conversation is that they really aren't very well versed in the math, the math practice standards that go with that. And so I think we were discussing kind of what our goals were going to be moving forward with the standards, is that we really just have to get back into deconstructing those. And a lot of that with the new assessments is that we have taught things so singularly for so long, and a lot of the questions kind of combine a lot of the stuff together. Just one of the questions I was thinking about from the math perspective was comparing like an exponential function and a linear function. And so a lot of our stuff for the longest time have been not comparing those. It's just our units are so, here's the linear unit, here's the quadratic unit in Algebra 1, for example, and just getting our teachers more familiar. And we've had so much turnover too that our teachers just are not familiar with any of that. And just getting them back into reading the actual standard, and if it's conceptual, procedural, or application, and they just don't know that, because that's not, we've just been using our standards or our target documents, our unit documents. And so that's kind of been our focus for this year, and moving forward into this semester is really targeting the standards and the mathematical practices and what those are, is kind of our growth area for that, because we just have so many new people too. So
Holly, thank you for sharing. It's amazing to see you. Erin, I taught with Holly. She was student teaching when I was starting teaching. So it's amazing to see you, but also like, I hope that you saw the affirmation that you were getting from the folks who were on camera, because I saw Casey giving you some nods when you were talking about the practice standards. And those are really something that have been around for a while, but a lot of our teachers, it's been an aha moment for us when we get to work with them and talk to them about the practice standards and some of the resources that we have to support them. And so that's part of the reason that you see those written out fully in the tool. We actually initially just had those as checkboxes. But we were like, you know what, we're worried that maybe people don't know what conceptual understanding, procedural skill, and application are. We're worried that they don't know what the standards for mathematical practice are. So let's put those in there so that at least they're being very intentional about thinking those things through. And then, like Abby is leading your team doing, like identifying, where do I need to learn? What do I want to learn more about? So I appreciate you sharing that about section 1. Is there anyone else who might have something that you want to share who also read section 1?
At Barberville, we have been a part of the Deeper Learning Initiative with SESC, and our focus was specific to mathematics. And last year, our main focus was, the first mathematical practice of really digging in and understanding the standards and what we are teaching. And we rooted that in our PLCs. And I think we really had to one of the things I read was not focus on the activity, but focus on what the knowledge is, understand what they need to learn. And I think that was a big transition for us last year. All of our teachers were like, well, we got these really cute activities. And in the end, when we look at them or broke them down in our PLCs, it's probably fun and it was neat, but it really didn't align very well to the standard. So that's the work that we've been putting in, and we will continue this year. Mathematical practice or teaching practice too, where we really dig in and engage the discussion piece and students taking over the learning. So that's kind of something that we're working on at Barberville.
Thank you for sharing that, Andrea. I think that's such a powerful understanding and aha moment for teachers to have, is that I have these things that I love to do, but are they getting me where I want to be? Or we had one of our teachers in our session say, I didn't realize until we talked about the target of the standard that I was teaching everything procedurally. So it didn't matter even if I had an HQR that was designed conceptually, I was modifying unintentionally and teaching it in a very procedural way. So those are some really powerful ahas that it sounds like you and your team have had. Thank you so much for sharing. In each section, there are some supporting resources, and there are some souvenirs that we hope that kind of stand out about each section. So shifting to section 2, supporting intentional integration of evidence-based instructional practices. For a group of the alphabet who read this, what might have been some takeaways that you had from session 2?
I don't care to share.
Thank you, Tanya.
You're welcome. What I got from section 2 really is, as a former administrator, like, you have to support your teachers with time and a place to meet together to have these discussions. And that's really the essence of section 2 is the work is done in pre-planning and PLC time. And that collective teacher efficacy happens there. I think that's vitally important. And we often skip that part. We just say, here's an HQR, go at it. And I've seen that happen firsthand. And so I think it's really important that if you've already done that, which we have done that already in the past, we have to back up and repunt and make sure that our teachers have the right structure for PLCs and they have the right questions in front of them to guide their discussion. And this section provides those questions and some really good ones. So the work that happens behind the scenes is just as important as what happens in front of the students.
Absolutely. Thank you, Tanya. You said you didn't mind to share, and I'm just like, hallelujah. Thank you, Tanya, for sharing that. That was such powerful takeaways, because I think that you're exactly right. And I think that that realization can be really powerful on the part of our teachers and our students. Moving, and I hope that you guys are seeing some of the takeaways that people might be sharing in the chat. We're going to pause, and this might be kind of lead into our wrap up for the day, but what might have been some takeaways that you guys had from those of you who read section 3, expanding educator familiarity with ways to interweave social emotional competencies within math content. So not separate, but really tied authentically to the content.
I don't mind to share.
Thank you, Tanya.
So what really stuck out to me when it was talking about cultivating the culture was teachers modeling through words and actions, equipping students with the content knowledge, and facilitating opportunities for students to engage in the practice. I actually wrote those, I wrote down model, equip, and facilitate as I was reading through, and then it was talking about the instructional vision, which I thought is so powerful because you have to know where you want to take your students for them to be successful and for you to equip yourself to help them be successful.
Absolutely. Tanya, thank you so much for sharing that. I think that that's something that we like really hope that this resource does. We really want everything to feel really unified so that our teachers are supported as they are thinking about their practice and the impact on students and how can they model. And so one of the things that we actually have in our document for you, and this is in the EdCamp resource, we had another section of the presentation where you're going to get to choose your own adventure, but you might have to choose your own adventure throughout the day. We have some grade level samples that were created by the teachers and the coaches that we've worked with on this, and that Holly in there. We are releasing them in chunks. So right now, grades 1, 5, 6, and functions are available, and we are going to release another set and then another set until we have every grade level and every conceptual category at the high school level covered or addressed. And so that was going to be something that we did today as we kind of chose our own adventure, but that just may offer some opportunities to explore further. But you'll notice one thing that I want to mention, and these are on our website, is actually I have two things. One, if your coaches and teachers, if this is something that you want to do with them as part of their summer professional learning, Erin and I have been working with coaches and teachers, so we have facilitation materials for this that we are happy to talk to you or your instructional coaches about. If this is something that you would want your teachers, learning that you want your teachers to engage in. And then we also wanted to mention that there are 2 6th grade samples for a reason, because we want teachers to understand that we can still teach a grade level standard. We can still look at the same task in different ways, and that's okay. So Erin and I might decide to facilitate a task really differently, but that may not mean that one is more or less rigorous than the other. And so we really want to honor teacher expertise and autonomy in that way and say, you can do this differently, and that's all right. So I know that we're getting messages, and I know that Crystal is getting ready to gear up for the next session using this breakout room, but we just hope that in the reading today and in your discussion that you feel like this resource or this thinking really might support you in moving from how you feel about the present state of mathematics teaching and learning in your school to what possibilities might look like. And Erin and I are happy to talk with you if you want some information about how you might support this learning at your school and about these resources. We are happy to follow up. The easiest way, instead of giving you both of our email addresses, is just KDE Math. But we hope that you saw ways that we could really use this resource to shift from our existing state to what we want to see in a way that's really streamlined to support teachers. And thank you so much for sharing today. And Crystal, cut us off because I know that you've got